Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Winning Women Talk Show. I'm your host, Regina Shearer, and I am so happy that you have joined us this evening. We are always excited each week as we speak to a different woman who shares her journey to doing what she's passionate about, to doing what fulfills her, and in truth, to doing what makes her feel like a success in life. And so I'm hoping that each and every week that you have joined us, whether you've watched us on YouTube or on Facebook Live, or whether you have been listening to us on the radio, that you have been inspired by the things you have heard, the journeys that have been shared, and most of all, that you've heard that special something if you're thinking of making a career change or trying to actually pursue your dreams, that you will have heard something to make you say to yourself, if she can do it, so can I. So tonight we have a special guest, and I'm going to ask you if you can to call in or email us with any comments or questions that you have for our guest tonight. We have so many things happening. We've had storms pass through, etc. So we had some technical issues, but our guest is live um, with us via telephone. And so I'm going to introduce her, but I would again love for you to join us as well. And so there are two ways that you can connect and participate in this show tonight. And one is by calling us at 781 384 5587. I'll say that again, 781 384 5587. And if you're a little bit phone shy, we understand. Feel free to email me, Regina at rgbinternetradio.com. That's Regina at rgbinternetradio.com. And we look forward to hearing your comments and your questions for our guest. I'm so pleased to introduce her. Her name is Dr. Barbara Brewster Lewis, and she is a cultural historian. She's a playwright, a poet, and a translator. Barbara directed the William Monroe Trotter Institute for the Study of Black History and Culture at the University of Massachusetts in Boston, and she did that from 2004 to 2019. Prior to that work, Barbara chaired the theater department at the University of Kentucky in Lexington, and she also taught at New York University and Lehman College. After retiring, which was just recently, Barbara has continued her love for literature and writing and research, and she is researching and writing novels about coming of age in these contested crevices today we experience between yesterday and today, because there is so many differences and so much that is missing. Sometimes when we look at how we've moved through time. Barbara was accepted into the Play Lab program at Company One at Boston University, and she's also participating in a Company One acting workshop. She currently belongs to a playwriting collective run by the TC Squared Theater Company in Cambridge, and she received a 2021 Summer Playwriting Intensive with the Kennedy Center. Lastly, she recently learned that her paternal great grandfather, Jeremiah Bradley, fought in Company B of the 54th Massachusetts and is buried in Lenox, Mass., and has been memorialized in bas relief sculpture by Augustus St. Gaudens in the Boston Commons, right across from the Massachusetts State House on Beacon Street. So if you're in the Boston area, and a lot of people are right now with World Cup going on, we recommend that you take a walk through the Commons across from the State House and see that bas relief sculpture of Barbara's great grandfather, created by Augustus St. Gaudens, and her great grandfather is Jeremiah Bradley. So, having said all of that, this is an educated woman. As you've heard, I've called her doctor. She has her doctorate in theater history and literature. and a master's degree in creative writing and translation, and all the rest she will tell you herself. Welcome, Barbara, to the Winning Women Talk Show.
Thank you so very, very much. I'm very happy and pleased, as well as honored to be here.
Well, we are honored to have you. I'm so sorry about all the technical issues with the weather and everything. It has created a lot of chaos, a lot of wind damage. Fortunately, no tornadoes came through this area, but we're glad to have you on this show, even by phone. So, as always, Barbara, I like to start off by asking the women on this show to tell us a little bit about themselves because we'd like to know your background, your beginnings, your journey through education, through career moves, and all of those things that have taken you to this point in your life. And I'm going to let you go ahead and share that with us.
Well, thank you. Um, I believe it's really family that has carried me through. Um, I was born in New York City. My mother was a teacher. She taught math. She loved math because for her, it didn't lie. She said, it always, there was always a number and the number was verified. And she liked that. She liked that it wasn't a guess. She wasn't guessing anything. She wasn't putting up a supposition or a possibility. She had worked on um, getting the answer,
Yes.
and the answer was not going to change. My father was someone who fought the in World War II,
Mm-hmm.
and it's his lineage you had referenced a bit earlier when you were talking about me. Um, his his family was biracial. His grandmother was the daughter of the son of Jeremiah Bradley, and an English woman who had fallen in love with him, thought he was wonderful. Um, he was the family coachman.
Mm-hmm.
Her father was quite wealthy and ambitious, and he had lots of ambition for her. But she did not want to take his choice for her. She wanted her own choice. And so she chose Joseph. His name was Joseph Bradley. And they eloped. I know that's probably a word that we don't hear very much these days.
Right.
But they ran away together. They were living in a place called Torrington, Connecticut. And I may or may not have said that Joseph was a family coachman. And so they got in the coach with the horses and they ran away and they got married. And they married in Massachusetts. The father came running after them. She would not go back. He kept telling her how much better her life would be. And her answer was always, my life will never be better if I'm not with Joseph. So she stayed with Joseph, and they had 6 children, 3 girls, 3 boys. So I guess if you want to go back to, some of the seeds out of which I spring, that's one of the seeds. One of the seeds is, a woman who said, I know a man of worth, and I want to stay with that man of worth and bear his children. And no matter what my father says, because my father wants me to marry for money, not for love. He wants me to marry for status, not for love. But I'm going to marry for love.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So where do you come out of those 6 children? How do we get to you in this?
The first child was a daughter, and that was my grandmother.
Okay. All right. And so, were you born in Connecticut?
No, no, I was actually born in New York City. No, my mother was born in South Carolina, and she ran to New York after she got her college degree and got a job. And my father was born in Connecticut, um, but he ran to New York, which was, very close.
Hmm.
And he enrolled. He enrolled in the army, and they lived on Central Park West at that time, Central Park North, actually, around 110th Street. And so no, I was born in New York.
Okay. So tell us about growing up in as a child and in New York and moving so that you ended up in Massachusetts. Oh,
Okay, okay. Um, well, the marriage didn't last terribly long. It lasted maybe 2.5 years. My father was a philanderer, which my mother, of course, did not like. And so when she realized that she had made an error, she, of course, at first she despaired, but she was from a family of 12,
wow.
and her mother and father were still in South Carolina,
Mhm.
where she was from. So she got in touch with them. She called them. She let them know that her high hopes had fallen and had smashed, and could she come home? Was there space? They had 12 children, and they had a large house. They had a um, not two-family, two-story house in South Carolina. All the children, of course, at that time. I don't know if it is indeed an of course, but in terms of history, it is. So many of the Southern folks were leaving the South or had left the South and moved north, and all of the children had done that. Um, but she needed to go home. She needed a place for herself and for me. I was probably 2 years old at the time. So she took me back to where she was from, and she, well, she was devastated. So for the first, I guess, 6 to 8, maybe 9 months, she she just stayed in her room and kind of nursed her wounds and recovered. But she had done extremely well as a student. As I said, she was a math student,
Hmm.
and the principal, came and visited and said, we need you. We need you to come and teach, these students, And so she accepted the job, and she became a teacher. And but she was always ambitious. So in the summers, she would go back to New York. She worked on a master's at NYU, and that was how she did it. A lot of teachers from the South did that. A lot of teachers of color from the South would teach during the winter and go north to, yeah, and get educated, get their
Right.
masters. So so that's what she did.
Right.
So I grew up between North Carolina and not North Carolina, between South Carolina and New York.
Hmm.
And then when it was time, she sent me to Catholic school because she thought Catholic school would do better than public school. I'm not sure it did, but that was her choice. Uh, and she tried to, give me everything that she hadn't had. She gave me ballet lessons. She gave me piano lessons. Um, and when it was time for me to go to high school, she sent me to a convent outside of Montreal so that I could learn French and learn Latin and have a different kind of education, one that she felt would not be available to me in the States
Right.
because of segregation.
Well, that was now, did you enjoy those things or did you just do it because mother
In a way, well, I'm ambivalent. I both enjoyed and didn't enjoy. There was a lot of emotional pain in it, um, and a sense of isolation in it. But I was always a, I mean, I was an only child. I read a lot. I loved to read. I liked color. I was a loner. Um, I adored Latin. Um, I loved discipline. So I liked the French. I loved the French. You know, I even liked, in a way, it wasn't. I would rather call it contemplative than religious, but I liked the contemplative life. I like to think, you know. So it both fed me, and this is going to sound maybe a little strange. It both fed me and starved me at the
okay.
same time, I think.
Hmm. Well, now, can you share with us why you said that?
Well, I think I probably needed, I was a loner,
Mhm.
and it fed my loner tendencies. But I think I probably, this is me looking back,
Mhm.
I probably needed not to be so much of a loner.
Okay.
I probably would have benefited, from. I'm going to think. I'm going to think kind of poetically, if it is poetic at this point. I I needed to have, I think, some of my edges rubbed off
Mhm.
in connection with others, and because I was, I was there was, there were a couple of girls of color. There were two girls who came from from Nassau who were in the convent, and there were two sisters from Venezuela. But most of the other folks were, you know, um, they were white and they were mostly from Canada. So I didn't have a lot of exposure to people of my own background. Um, which I mean, it's good to be, to have a range of people that you can connect to. And
Mhm.
I did have a range of people to connect to, but I think I might have done a little better. I might not have been such a loner if, I had a little bit more interaction with folks who were like me that
Right.
I felt like I was like.
Right.
So it was good in that, I mean, it fed me as an intellectual, it fed me as an artist, but as a person, who gets out in the world and engages with the world and takes on the world on its own terms, I think I retreated a bit more than might have been good for me.
Yes.
But that's me looking back. I don't know. I don't really know. I mean, I am what I am. I
Right.
is what I is, and I had the life I had, and I'm glad for it. I mean, it wasn't the usual life,
Mhm.
but it was a good life,
So,
and I've become who I am.
right. So you moved on to college life, and what were you thinking at the
Yes.
time you went to college? What were your goals?
Hmm. My goals. Okay, I went to Hunter College. I came back to New York.
Mhm.
Um, my goals were to get a degree, but I flunked out. I emotionally couldn't do it.
Hmm.
Um, I think the trauma of also at the time when I came back. I think I was a little odd. Maybe I wasn't your usual black girl
Right.
going to school, and I had learned all this. I knew English history and French history and Spanish, because it was, the education I had was a European education. I was trained under an English system
Right.
in Canada.
Hmm.
So, yeah, I think people were like, where did she come from and who is she?
Right.
And so I guess I just didn't seem to fit in.
Hmm.
And sometimes when you don't fit in, you're punished. So, I felt punished and I didn't feel like, you know, I needed more time to adjust. Of course, after I was like, oh no, Barbara, you can't flunk. You've got to go back. So, I did go back and I did finish and I kept going. But in the beginning, when I was first exposed to the challenge of college, I didn't make the best adjustment
Hmm.
straight out of high school.
Okay. So,
And
so,
maybe that's been my life.
well, what was it? So you, when you finished college, undergraduate level at least, what was your major, and what were your plans to do with that major?
Okay. My major was English language arts, which was a combination of, different subjects, a bit of anthropology, a bit of sociology, a lot of English, some history. Um, I don't know if I had that. I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. Um, I and maybe that was a big problem. I'd gotten out. I had a smattering of this. You know, I knew some French. I knew some Latin. I knew a lot of different things, but did I have it all kind of rolled up in a ball with a bow on it? No. So I think I went looking for myself, trying to figure out what it was that I wanted to do, what it was I could do with all these various talents and exposures that I had had.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I still needed to search. I was still looking for myself and where I might fit in, where I might fit myself, where I might find a place that could grow me and that I could grow, where I could grow.
Right. Right. So where did you find the first place to figure that out?
Well, actually, and I it was through family. It was a time when over, my father passed,
Hmm.
and he left me some money, and I used that money to give myself an apprenticeship, to design an apprenticeship for myself, to figure out what it was I wanted to do and what I could do. And through family, I may or may not have mentioned that my mother had a large family. I was a loner. I was an only child, but she definitely wasn't. She had
Right.
11 brothers and sisters. And they, in a way, became a large part of my education too, because they were doing different things. And one of them, my Uncle John, had a daughter who had dropped out of NYU. Um, she and my mother had been close for a while, but she wanted to pursue other things, and she had gone to the high school of art and I don't think it was, no, it wasn't art and design. It was performing arts. She had gone to a high school of performing arts, and she wanted to be an actress and a singer, and she became one. Um, she became a star. Indeed, she became. She made herself into Diane Carroll, and maybe because I saw what she could do, I was like, I can make myself into, if I ever figure it out,
Right.
what I want to do too. And I think so. A part of me. So for my high school yearbook, I had written a poem. Don't ask me what it was about. I don't remember now, but I do remember that I had written a poem and it had been published in the yearbook, and it made me proud.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I wanted to do more of that. I wanted to feel proud,
Mm-hmm.
maybe the way Diane felt proud.
Right.
And so I designed a writing program for myself, and I was always committed. I mean, I'm a child of blackness,
Mm-hmm.
and I was always committed to my people, my history.
Right.
And so I went to the black paper in New York, which was the Amsterdam News.
Mm-hmm.
It's still there. And I designed a writing program for myself. I said that, I would write and contribute stories, and I wanted to cover the arts. So I covered art museums and art shows. I did dance. I did theater. I did um, books new books that came out, whatever came out relative to the art that there was an arts editor, and I would go and talk to him and ask him what was going on, and he would refer things to me, and I would pick out what I wanted to cover, and I would cover it, and I would submit it, and I did that. I don't remember how many years I did it. I might have done it for like 4 or 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that was how I trained myself as a writer, covering the arts and learning the arts.
Now, let me interrupt you and to ask you a question. For
Sure.
first and foremost, those who are listening or watching this evening, there may be some who don't know who Diane Carroll is, but
Okay.
I'll suffice it just to say that she is definitely a trailblazer, and she broke barriers, color barriers, by having her own show as a black female on television. So I'll say that, and then you can Google the rest. But did you, in your work for the Amsterdam News, did you ever interview your cousin?
No, no, I didn't.
Okay.
No, no, I interviewed. Who did I interview? I interviewed. I'm trying to think. I know I interviewed Toni Morrison at one point.
Oh, good.
I interviewed Eartha Kitt. I interviewed um, a range of writers, some
Mm-hmm.
dancers,
Wow.
an artist. Oh, what is his name? Ramar Bearden. Those
Uh-huh.
those kinds of those are the folks that
Well, that in
I
itself
interviewed.
is wonderful.
Oh, and the Nicholas brothers. I love that.
Oh,
Yeah,
the
the
Nicholas
Nicholas brothers
brothers.
who had they had been dancers. I think in the
Yeah.
40s.
Yes.
They were still alive. I was doing this in the 60s and 70s.
Mm-hmm.
They were still alive, but they weren't performing as much. But I certainly knew who they were, and I was excited to be able to talk to them.
So your time at the Amsterdam News, is that where you realized that literature and the arts and culture were areas that stimulated you, and you wanted to do more with that? Is-
Yes, yes, yes.
Now, did you start your masters as a result of that? As you say, your own self-developed apprenticeship. Did you start your master's program as a result of that work?
I got my master's shortly after that. Yes,
Okay. And and but as I shared in your introduction, you have done quite a few things. You did a lot of teaching, and you directed
yes, I did.
theater, and you were the
Yes,
director of the William Monroe Trotter Institute, for
yes,
and for the study of the African diaspora, and then and their history and culture, right, at UMass Boston.
right.
So in all of those things, that the teaching, did that come first?
The teaching came first. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, chronologically, yes.
Was that before or after your doctorate?
I got the doctorate, and then when I got the doctorate, I was able to get um, some positions as a teacher, but I had started teaching before I finished the doctorate.
Okay. And where was your greatest passion in your teaching career?
I think it was in teaching writing. Yeah,
Writer, teaching writers.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Because I know you covered all of well, a significant part of performing arts, with the theater and other things. So you loved teaching. When did playwriting come into the picture?
Okay, part of one of the things that was going on in New York around that time was that there was something called the Frank Severo Writers Workshop, and it was, I believe, it was on Monday nights. So all of the kind of literary and artistic folks in New York would get together on Monday nights, and we would submit scripts that we had written that we wanted to hear.
Mm-hmm.
And actors would come and they would, sign up and do parts in the from the script. And we would all kind of go and listen and comment on the plays. And that way the playwright would get a sense of how people were reacting, how they might develop the play. And that went on for maybe 4 or 5 years, and I was quite devoted to that. And I found that I enjoyed not only hearing what was going on, but I liked taking on different roles in the scripts. And so I started kind of getting a sense of my own ability and how I was drawn to just the world of creativity,
Mm-hmm.
of a created moment, of a created relationship. So yes, I became enamored of the stage myself.
For those of you who have been listening or have just joined us, have been listening to Dr. Barbara Brewster Lewis. She is recently retired, but she directed the William Monroe Trotter Institute for the Study of the African Diaspora, History, and Culture at UMass Boston. She had lectured and taught at a number of large universities, and she has many, many talents. And one of the things I didn't mention is she's traveled all over the world, and maybe some of that is part of the influence of her being a playwright as well as a poet, and having background in performance and other things. We have to take a quick break. But again, I want to encourage you to please feel free if you have any questions for Dr. Lewis, if you have any comments you'd like to make, you can do that by calling us at 781 384 5587 or emailing me, Regina, at rgbinternetradio.com. We would love to hear from you, but we have to take a quick break for one of our sponsors. Don't go far. We will be right back. So you are again viewing the Winning Women Talk Show, and I'm your host, Regina Shearer.
At Portal to Hope, we're here to help victims of domestic violence, sexual assault, and stalking crimes. We provide support, resources, and hope to those who need it most. We believe that everyone deserves to live a life free from violence. If you or someone you know is in danger, please reach out for help. Call us at 781 338 7678. We offer a variety of services including counseling, legal aid, job assistance, and housing support. We also work to raise awareness about these issues and to advocate for change. Together, we can create a world where everyone is safe and free from violence. Portal to Hope is here for you.
And we are back. You're watching the Winning Women Talk Show. I'm Regina Shearer, your host. And our guest this evening is Dr. Barbara Lewis, who you cannot see because of technical difficulties. And she is with us, though, by phone and has been sharing a lot of information about her background, her family's background, and moving through to what she has done with her life, and she has done quite a bit. So, Dr. Lewis, we were talking about what led you to becoming being interested in playwriting. Are there any plays that we should know that have your name stamped on them?
No, I haven't been that lucky. You mean if I've published anything? No, the work I've done has mostly been in workshop. What I'm working on now, I mentioned at an earlier point, I'm working on a novel now, and I hope it has dramatic elements in it.
So, can we anticipate a time frame when your novel is going to be published?
Um, I wish I could say yes. I
Okay.
don't. I'm still working on it. So and it depends on whether a publisher gives me um, the green light or not.
Okay.
Um, but yes,
Well, you'll be sure to let us know so that we can.
absolutely.
Okay. Um, so I want to ask you about your time at UMass Boston as
Sure.
director of the institute there. So tell us, what types of things kept you busy with the institute? What were your primary goals?
Um, I would have to say one of my goals and one of the things that I was quite happy about was that I worked with uh, drama students there, and we put on all for, in reading format, not in production, because that would have been very, very expensive. But in reading format, we put together all the plays of August Wilson, who is a particular hero of mine, and his work that dramatizes so much of what was going on in Pittsburgh at a particular time during the 20th century.
Mhm.
And I was really excited about being involved with that. We put that on to celebrate the 150th anniversary of the kind of the end of the Civil War. To
Okay.
say that, yeah, that we had, as a people, unfortunately, it seems as though there's been some retreat from the positive energies and positive developments that we put forth um, during this current time. Um, yes, there definitely has been some fallback, but um, at an earlier point, it was really exciting to look back at our history and think of the ways in which we had progressed and how we had moved forward.
Right. Um, so that was, I'm sure, a very major project. How long did it take for your students to get it all together so that people could enjoy that?
We worked on it for about, um, I would say it was about 8 to 9 months we worked on it, yeah.
Oh.
Um, but we were able to do it in a theater downtown. Yes, it was quite exciting, and we were very happy about having done it. Yeah.
That's wonderful. So, what other types of events were sponsored by the Institute?
Um, well, did we would invite different writers and academics. Um, One writer that I was especially happy to be able to invite and share with the students and share with other faculty members. We invited Walter Mosley,
Oh,
who, yes, I had known him in New York, and he agreed to come and talk to the students, and also, to talk about one of the things that I learned that I found quite exciting was that his first novel was actually a young adult novel called 47, which goes back into slavery and what that was like for this particular character. Um, so that was something that I was quite happy about. And we also brought in a number of um, um, a poet or two and some scholars, and it was always exciting to um, have students share with writers who had um, made a big difference. And there were a couple of writers from Boston too who had made big splashes in Boston. One of them was Kirsten Greenwich, who's over at DU,
right.
and she came to campus several times to meet with and talk with students.
Yeah, and she runs the Play Lab, right? Or the company
She
one,
does run the
right?
play lab. Yes, yes,
Okay.
yes, yes.
Yes. And you, speaking of play labs and things, you participated in their acting workshops, but you currently, if I'm not mistaken, you're connected to the TC Squared Theater, right, in Cambridge.
Yes, we we meet regularly and we work on different plays, and then we have a schedule where we present those plays. Yeah.
Oh, so that's what, okay, so you schedule them for their presentations.
Yes. Yes.
So for those of us listening who have no clue what this is all about, can you give us a little information about the TC Squared Theater Company?
Well, it's actually a company that is um, quite open in terms of the different backgrounds of the folks. So one project that we were working on recently was a collaboration between an Asian playwright and an African American playwright.
Mhm.
So we like to kind of reach out beyond the usual boundaries.
Yes, I'm sure. And in that there are both cultural and linguistic challenges. So what did you see as one of the primary challenges for those two working together?
Well, unfortunately, I guess, yeah, I would think of it as unfortunate. Sometimes, when we do work together, we find out that there might be still a bit of residual prejudice. Um, and we have to work hard to get beyond that.
Right. We call it today. I think the term they use for it is unconscious bias.
Is that what it is?
Yes.
Okay.
Uh, yeah, I think that's what they call it now because we like to soften the harsh realities of life, right? Through language.
Yes. Yes.
But so as I there's so much that you have done. You've traveled all over the world. What is one of your favorite experiences in your travels that is related to you, to your skills and education that is memorable to you that you would be willing to share with us this evening?
Oh, okay. I mean, I have traveled a lot of different places. I was always just very, very curious about how other people lived. And I wanted to hear other languages. I've always enjoyed just the sound of other languages,
Mhm.
and also wanted to expose myself to it and see how much I could pick up and whether or not I could be understood. I wanted to go beyond the limits of my own language. Um, what are some of the places I've enjoyed? I've enjoyed Brazil.
Mhm.
I enjoyed being in Bahia in Brazil. Um, I remember being in a kind of carnival setting there
Mhm.
and realizing, I don't know what I think you call it proprioceptics or something like that, but there are different cultures that have um, a different tolerance for being close to other people.
Mhm.
Um, and I felt in Brazil that the folks they wanted to get as close to you as they possibly could. Um, it didn't bother me. Um, in fact, I enjoyed it, but I knew that it was not something I could enjoy for a long time.
Mhm.
I, you know, I, I had a tolerance for it, but there would come a point where I needed to pull away. Um,
Right. Would you go back there?
um, yes, yes. Oh no, definitely. I would go back. I would go back if I could. I would go back wherever I've been. I mean, I enjoyed being in Italy. I enjoyed being in Siena. I enjoyed going to Pisa. I enjoyed, kind of seeing the Leaning Tower.
Right.
Um, I've enjoyed being in Paris. I've enjoyed Germany. Um, oh, well, wait a minute. Let me back up a little bit. Um, because in Germany, I visited a couple of the concentration camps,
Mhm.
and I can't say that I enjoyed that. I was, I learned, um, but it was not a pleasant learning.
Right.
Um, I've been in, there are two places in Africa that I've been. I've been to Senegal and I've been to Ghana. They were both very different. I remember in, I believe it was Senegal, I a family was out on the street with animals. I mean, I forget exact. I know it wasn't a camel, but it was whatever. It was a strange animal, and it frightened me.
Mhm.
Um, I I went to China. I went to the wall, the Great Wall,
Mhm.
um, and I've been to a lot of the different places in the Caribbean. I've been to Jamaica
Right. Well,
and Haiti. Um, yeah.
right. So, have those memories played into your poetry, your playwriting at all?
I don't know. I've also been to Palestine. I went to Jerusalem. Yeah. Has that worked into my? I don't think it's worked into my playwriting.
Okay.
When the playwriting, I'm more drawn to issues of history than location or territory.
Mhm.
But I think it's just part of, I'm always seeking to know more than I know. And when you travel, you learn more than you knew before. You're exposed to more. I won't say that you become a different person, but you open yourself up to other experiences. And I think that changes you.
It certainly does. So our time is winding down so quickly. Of all the things that you've done, are do you what were what were your greatest challenges being a woman of color, being a female, right? And being in a world where while women do certain things, many times their roles are restricted into certain niches, I'll say, of the arts. Um, so for you, having to cover all of that as well as culture and language and other things, what was your one of your greatest challenges in your work?
You know, I don't know that I ever saw it as a challenge. I I just wanted to know. I wanted to experience. I wanted to go beyond the limits of myself. I wanted to fit in different ways. I do remember though, and I hope this is me getting fairly close to what you're asking me about. I remember, when I was working on the doctorate, one of the requirements was that we be able to read in at least two European languages, with the idea that if some research came out and it was published first in a language, it was not published immediately in English, but published in some other language, that we had the possibility through one of the languages, through the two languages we chose, to be exposed to this information. And I remember um, I I said, I have French already.
Mhm.
So what would be a language that would be a challenge for me? And I decided it would be German. So I got myself on a plane and found out that I could, take some. And I also didn't want to just read it.
Mhm.
I wanted to be able to kind of converse in it. Maybe not like a native, that was beyond, the possibility, but I wanted to have a little bit of facility in it.
Mhm.
So I decided that I would send myself to Vienna, and where I saw that there was the possibility of taking conversational German.
Mhm.
So I did that, and I liked Vienna, but I remember getting there the first day, and hearing German and just starting to cry because I couldn't understand it. I mean, by the time I left, I it became, I'm not going to say I was fluid or anything, but it was much easier for me after a period of time. Um, but it was just so frustrating because I had come across, it was like I had hit a closed door. I had hit a closed door, and
Yeah.
I didn't like the door
So
closed in my face.
yeah. So when you just because you have done so many things, and I'm sure that you because you are a driven person who says I'm not going to let that stop me. Because not so much because it was proving a point to someone else, but you wanted to prove something to yourself. What would you say to our listeners today who have been listening to you, and perhaps they're currently interested in playwriting or writing or literature or performance or something in the arts, what would you say to them to encourage them that has been helpful to you in your journey of doing all these things?
Well, I hope I can be helpful. But I don't know that if I would go beyond kind of the usual advice of, if you love it, stick to it.
Okay.
If you love it, make it your own. Find a place for yourself in it and with it, and enjoy it. Because, being alive is not about pain. It's about joy. And finding moments that give you joy and moments that you can share joy with others.
Well, I think that is beautiful and it's very encouraging and I love it because it's really not selfish. It's selfless. I just want to share one last question with you. Um,
Sure.
it says hi. This is an email that came in. Hi, wow. I loved hearing the list of those that you have interviewed, Barbara. Romer Bearden is one of my absolute favorite artists, and he brought a new perspective to art in his time. His work is unmatched. Did you get to spend time with or be mentored by anyone you had interviewed? You also mentioned Eartha Kitt, and I believe she would have been a great mentor. So the question is, did you ever
Um,
spend any real time with being mentored by anyone that you had interviewed?
I can't say that I was mentored, but I did certainly appreciate any, quiet or personal moments that I felt with the different artists.
Mhm.
And for me, that was the excitement of being able to interview them.
Yeah.
That there I was talking to them, able to ask them any questions that I wanted to ask. And certainly some of the questions fed me, fed me emotionally, fed me artistically.
Right.
And that was exciting. And I think that's what kept me moving forward during that time.
Right.
That, yes, I was able to find out from them and through them what resonated for them
Yes.
and what excited them.
Well,
And that was an absolute pleasure.
I am sure, and again, something that a lot of people have not had the experience doing. Barbara, our time has come to an end, and I can't tell you how much I have enjoyed listening to you sharing so many things. I hope and that people will again go see your great grandfather Jeremiah Bradley's bas relief, which is across from the Massachusetts State House in Boston.
Let
In the
me say
common.
one thing. It's a group. It's a group. Yeah.
Yes, but he's one
It's
of
not
them.
just him. It's a group. Yeah, he's
Right.
one of them. Yes.
He's one of them. So and to keep in their minds your name because I know we're going to be hearing there's a book that's going to come out and we'll probably hear some other great things about you. Thank you, Barbara, so much for being on our show and because you are a winning woman.
And thank you. Thank you so very much for inviting me. I
And
truly enjoyed it.
well, we've enjoyed having you on. For those of you who stayed with us this evening, thank you so much. Remember, same time, same place, same station, RGB Internet Radio, next week as we bring another guest to our show. Have a great weekend and remember to love somebody because love is what we need.